everybody. Absolutely fantastic to see you all. My goodness, it's just amazing to have you all here. We've actually got nearly 250 people registered for this session. So it's obviously something that struck a note, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm joined today by Roberta, who's running around at the moment, gathering bits and pieces of documents and so on that we actually want to show you. Could I possibly just ask that you mute yourselves, if you don't mind, at the moment, purely and simply because we've got so many of us in the group today that obviously it could get really kind of untoward if we've got lots of noise coming in, because you know the way that Zoom sort of takes over where it hears a noise and then actually defaults to that person. So suddenly you sort of become spotlighted, and you might not want to become spotlighted. So what are we talking about today? We're actually talking about the extraordinary power of positive psychology and resilience. And I know that you know, as practitioners, you know, this is something that we all work with, and so obviously I know it's something that you will know, but there's a heck of a lot of work in this field, research work going on in this field, that you may or may not be aware of. And I think it's really helpful to actually just kind of bring you up to speed with what the research actually says and how we can harness this work in our own practices to really enhance the way that we work with our clients. It gives us more scope for working with our clients, and it's really exciting stuff. And the other interesting thing about this session is that, you know, we'll come on to this in a bit, but you know, when the research shows that when we're actually watching information about kindness and compassion and positive psychology, if we're reading about acts of kindness, or if we witness things like random acts of kindness, it actually, those benefits accrue to us as well, not just as you might expect emotionally, because we feel good and we think, gosh, that's lovely, but actually physically, you know, with measurable differences to our immune function, to things like cortisol levels. So obviously, you know, implying that there's a reduction in inflammation or a modulation of the immune system. So it's a truly, truly exciting pattern of what happens. So I'm hoping that you're going to really, really love this session. And we're super excited because we're going to tell you about a new CPD training that we've got coming up, which is something that we've been planning for some time now. But we think the time is right because of what's happening out there. I was reading yesterday a research paper that actually says that everybody in a lockdown situation is suffering from low-grade depression. And I mean, I know I am. I mean, I know that, you know, there are days when I just sort of think, I wake up and I just think, do you know what? I could just quite happily pull the duvet over my head and stay here in bed for the rest of the day. But obviously there's work to be done. But, you know, the temptation is there. And I'm sure that many of us know if it's either happening for ourselves or if it's happening for our loved ones. So I really hope that this session is going to be really dramatically positive, useful, and inspirational for you. I mean, that's what I would love us to all go away with from today. So thank you for joining me. And I'm going to start by just reminding you that Roberta's in the room, and Roberta's, hello Roberta, my lovely. Roberta's sort of moderating the session. If you would like to drop messages into chat, then please do so. That would be absolutely super. We've already got a question, which is great. I love it when we've got a feisty group that asks lots of questions. Charlotte says, will this recording be sent to us? I have to dash and do the school run. Many thanks. Yeah, absolutely. If you're on the list, what I'll make sure that happens is that you get put into a distribution list so that you'll get you'll get access to the recording and any other bits and pieces that we think might be useful for you. Okay, so if you do have to dash off, that's absolutely fine. We're aiming to finish this in about an hour, but as you know, those of you who are with me an awful lot for these Friday sessions, very often the conversation starts to flow, and what happens is lots of people ask lots of questions at the end. I always save the questions to the end because it's easier that way, because you get to see the gestalt, the whole deal of what we're presenting, and then it kind of all falls into place. And so I'll come to the questions at the end. But if you have any questions along the way, drop them into the chat box and we will make sure that we get to you at the end. Okay, so what I'm going to start by doing is sharing my screen. So if you bear with me just a second. Right, okay. And there we go. Let's make that big. Lovely. Okay, and I'm just going to see if I can possibly change this and move this out of the way. Great stuff. So here we go. What I just want to do very, very briefly is, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? And obviously you can see a presentation there saying grow happier, healthier and younger now. Can you see that? Give me a thumbs up so I can say great. Thank you so much. That's super helpful for me. Right. Okay. So this presentation is adapted from one that I gave, oh my goodness, just over a year ago at the National Health Association in the USA. And unbeknown to me was that one of the great leaders of the resilience research movement, Professor Stephen Southwick, happened to be in the audience. He's a professor of positive psychology at both Yale and Harvard. And, you know, I tend to fangirl a lot about people, Ellen Langer, Elissa Appel, and Stephen Southwick. And so had I known he was in the audience, I think I would have given a very, very different presentation because I'd have been tongue-tied. But as it was, he came up to me afterwards, he said, thank you, said that was really, really well put together and well structured. So I'm not telling you that to blow my own trumpet, but just to let you know that, as always, everything I bring you is fully based in evidence. Okay, it's crucial that you know that, because the last thing I want anybody to do is just to think, well, that was nice, yeah, but so what? You know, the point is this is hard evidence. There's real, genuine data about everything we're going to talk about today, which I think makes it even more compelling and even better for all of us. So without further ado, let's get cracking. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to look at emotional stress and some important and often ignored sources of devastating stressors. Obviously, one of them that I love this concept of I lack love, ILL. It makes us ill. It's you know, it's often used, possibly overused, I don't know, but I think it really speaks to us in the complementary medical profession, because, you know, we, unlike conventional medics, are looking at the gestalt, the reason, the holistic rationale for symptom production. So I think, you know, lack of love from self and others is one of the most crucial ingredients for illness and dis-ease. A huge one at the moment, of course, is social isolation and loneliness. I worked out the other day, I've not actually touched another human being since January. I live by myself, and it's just crazy when you think about it. We're now in March, we're nearly halfway through March. And that really does things to people, doesn't it? It's not healthy. So let's hope it passes soon. Poor relationships with ourselves and others. Relationships have so much to do with emotional stress, as we know, and a lack of self-compassion. So many of us beat ourselves up. We have negative self-talk. There's so much that we could change, and if we make those even minute changes, little steps, what can happen is that they add up to massive increases in emotional well-being. You know, it used to be thought that we had a set level for our levels of happiness, but that's actually not true. We have the ability through neuroplasticity, for example, and also just through the way that we can nurture our neurotransmitters and our hormonal systems through leading happy, healthy, nurturing lives, to actually dramatically increase our capacity to be happy. We're going to come on to a lot of that later. Okay, we've got some great free gifts for you coming up as well. So what happens if we don't manage our response to stress? All major stressors lead to elevated cortisol levels, which obviously you know, which promotes an imbalance throughout our entire hormonal cascade. Obviously, we know that leads to chronic inflammation and all the devastating diseases that we wrongly associate with being a natural part of aging are underpinned by chronic inflammation. So what happens in that situation? We get elevated cortisol from unmanaged stress response, and that leads to telomere shortening, leading to a shorter lifespan. Now, there's a direct correlation between stress and telomere shortening. When we've got unmanaged stress, it leads to chronic illness, which leads to telomere shortening, which leads to unmanaged stress, and it just goes around and around and around, as you can see. So let's talk just briefly about telomeres, just to get a good sort of overview of what's happening there. Telomeres are DNA protein complexes that cap chromosomal ends, promoting chromosomal stability. Conceptualize it as being a bit like the plastic bits on the ends of our shoelaces that stop our shoelaces from unraveling. Why do telomeres shorten? That's a really interesting thing, because long telomeres are associated with people who are biologically younger, and shorter telomeres are associated with people who are biologically older. So what's the mechanism? Why do they shorten? It's quite interesting. When cells divide, the telomere is not fully replicated due to limitations of the DNA polymerases in completing the replication of the ends of the linear modules, leading to telomere shortening with every replication. So what does that actually mean in plain English? Well, think of it this way. It's like taking a photocopy of a photocopy, and if you think about how the image degrades with repeated copying, it just gets progressively lighter, doesn't it? So as cells divide, you see, you get a division of the cell, which shortens the telomeres. You get divisions of those cells, which shortens the telomeres, and so on and so on and so on, to the point where there's just nothing left on, no more caps on the ends of those chromosomes, and they just degrade. So that's what happens, and that's why telomeres actually shorten. But in real life, what causes that shortening? That's what we've got to look at, and we're going to come on to that in a bit. So first, let's look at love, kindness, and compassion and how they really affect our health. Positive emotions, first of all, and well-being. There was the very famous nun study, which I'm sure many of you have come across. If not, I can give you the link. Everything in this presentation has links. The study was done with nuns who'd written short personal essays. It was found that the nuns who expressed the most positive emotions lived 10 years longer and were protected from dementia. Very interesting. So, positive emotions and expressing those positive emotions is strongly associated with healthy aging and, happy days, protection from dementia, which I think is important to so many of us now. Furthermore, when we are able to embrace positive emotions, we feel good and our thinking becomes more creative, integrative, flexible. And positive emotions dramatically enhance our psychological and even our physical resilience. You might want to read at the bottom there, we've got a link there to the actual research. It's a very, very interesting paper on the value of positive emotions. If you're like me and you have research papers stacked on your bedside table, because that's what you do of an evening, a bit sad, but there you go. What else is there to do in lockdown when you're locking down by yourself? Not a lot. But do take a look at some of these references and links, because they are very, very fascinating. So, interestingly, supportive social ties add up to 9 healthy years to your life, particularly when we work towards a common goal. So what does that mean in the real world? What it means is that if you've got a group of friends or a group of people that you are working with towards a common goal, for example, for me, my hobby is dancing. And so in normal, not lockdown times, I dance with an amazing group of women, and we do something called tribal fusion belly dance. And so the point is that we get together, we have the social side of things because we love each other's company. We also, of course, have the exercise side of things, We also, of course, have the cognitive side of things because we have to learn choreographies. And then, of course, we go out and we do a lot of performances, a lot of charity events and so on. So we're all working together towards a common goal. And it's very, very interesting that I've observed a lot of women in the group have had devastating chronic diseases. We've got a lot of cancer sufferers who are doing really, really well. I should say cancer survivors, because they're all brilliantly in remission. And I have to say, my suspicion is very much that, working together with this incredible group of women towards a common goal is dramatically impacting their health and well-being. Obviously, anecdotal, but the research, as I say, stacks up, and you can read that study under there. And I will be giving this, I will be making this presentation available, by the way, so you don't need to take notes. Don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. All of the research I'll make sure you get it if you would like it. Just let me know. Warmth and love in relationships dramatically reduces your chances of developing chronic illnesses. So what are the health benefits for recipients of compassionate love? Most of us, of course, innately sense that compassion, love, and social support have health benefits for the recipients. And in fact, there was a recent Harvard study, parental warmth and flourishing in midlife, that strongly supports the benefit of receiving compassionate love. Love, closeness, and caring in families is incredibly important for health overall in every respect. In the remarkable Harvard Mastery of Stress study, which has been going on for many, many, many years, they originally took 126 healthy young male students. They were randomly selected in the early 1950s, and they were given questionnaires about their perceptions of love they felt from their parents. This is such a fascinating study. They followed them up 35 years later. 91% of the participants who did not perceive themselves to have had warm relationships with their mothers had a medically diagnosed midlife disease or diseases, including coronary artery disease, high blood pressure, duodenal ulcer, and alcoholism, as opposed to only 45% of those who reported a warm relationship with their mothers. So there you can see the graph. You can see. So this is, if it's possible, if anybody's got their mic still switched on, could you possibly turn it off, because I'm actually getting a lot of feedback this end. So please just make sure that you mute yourselves. Thank you so much. It just really improves everybody's experience of the session. Thank you. So this is the graph that demonstrates this. This is 90% low or no maternal warmth. These are the men who had the chronic diseases diagnosed at midlife. And these were the guys that had the chronic diseases diagnosed at midlife, only 50% of them if they had maternal warmth. Furthermore, in addition, 82% of those men who indicated low warmth and closeness to their fathers had these diagnoses too, compared with 50% who reported high warmth and closeness from their fathers. Now, 100% of those with low warmth and closeness from both parents had chronic diseases diagnosed in midlife, versus only 47% who had warm and close relationships with both parents. So can you get your head around that? It's difficult, isn't it? 100% of those with low warmth and closeness from both parents had chronic diseases. Doesn't it just go to show that relationships have this massive, overwhelming effect on our health and well-being? Now, I'm no believer in sort of Pollyanna, perfect life. Very few of us had idyllic childhoods. The people who had idyllic childhoods are very much in the minority as it happens. There are so many people out there that we know have had adverse childhood events, ACEs as they are known, and we know that those go on to create health issues and so on, chronic health diseases as we get older and so on, particularly things like autoimmune disease and such. However, the happy news is that we can undo, even if we've been really, really unfortunate, by doing resilience practices that we're going to come on and talk about, positive psychology practices, we can undo this work, this damage that's been done. So if you're sitting there thinking, God, I had a terrible childhood, am I doomed? No, you're not. Because what we know about epigenetics shows that, yes, our genes basically prime the gun, but lifestyle fires those bullets, as we know, so by choosing supportive lifestyle interventions that we'll talk about later, we can actually undo anything that has happened to us in the past. Being loved, cared for, and supported by others is critically important to health and treatment efficacy. So if you've got clients who you're doing everything right for them, that everything you're doing is absolutely spot on, it's by the book, but there's still no progress, I think it's then time to look at what's going on with the relationship side of things, possibly even stuff from childhood and such like coming up. As I know, as I say, it does impact us so dramatically, but having said that, we can get through these things. So caring deeply is crucial. So we spoke about the men, but women, of course, too, are deeply affected by emotional stress. In the now very well-known 2000 study by Appel, Blackburn et al., they studied two groups of women. Now, you may be familiar with Blackburn, Appel, and their colleagues, because these are the women that were awarded the Nobel Prize for the discoveries of telomeres and telomerase. And so, of course, that's their main field of study that they're known for, but they're also really interested in looking at why telomeres shorten. We spoke a little bit about that earlier. So what did this study show? They studied mums who were looking after healthy children, and they also studied mums who were looking after chronically ill children. The researchers were keen to find out whether emotional stress can be correlated with premature aging, as frequently people who are chronically stressed often look haggard and can often report things like undesired weight change. The researchers were particularly interested in whether stress influences telomere length. Now, I think we intuitively assume it would, but here's what the research said. It was found that the women with the highest levels of perceived stress caring for their chronically ill children had telomeres that were, on average, shortened by 1 decade. Some of the women were biologically older. This is when we talk about biological age. So as you know, chronological age is the number of times we've been around the sun, the number of birthdays we've had. So it's our age in years. Whereas biological age is the age that we are biologically, the sort of, how healthy and well we are according to a number of different measurements. And once all of those are kind of calculated, and even looking at things like our telomere length, we can come up with the concept of a biological age. Now, these women were aged, the women who had the highest levels of perceived stress were on average just under sort of 10, so sort of 8 to 9 years older than their non-stressed counterparts, up to 17 years older than their non-stressed counterparts. It's dramatic. It's really, really dramatic. So it's interesting, though, because the key word here is perceived stress, because there were mums in the study who had chronically ill children who didn't perceive themselves to be under stress. And if they didn't perceive themselves to be under stress, then what happened was that they didn't actually then see the shortening of the telomeres. So doesn't it just go to show how much mindset has to do with aging and health and well-being? In fact, another of the people that I follow very, very closely and I deeply admire is Professor Ellen Langer. And she's a professor at Harvard, and she's a social psychologist. And Ellen Langer is the person who does all of those counterclockwise studies and so on. She's the most brilliant woman. And she reckons, by her research, that aging is probably around about 97% in the mind. So, and our attitudes. So it's interesting, isn't it? So it's all very well about humans, but what about animals? Does receiving love affect their health too? It could be argued, couldn't it, by reductionist scientists and skeptics that we know and love and we send love to on a regular basis, is that, animals can't be affected by things like placebo. They can't possibly be affected by love and loving kindness and so on. I think we would all probably beg to differ, would we not? Let's see what the research says. So I love this study. It's great. Researchers in the 1970s were studying the effects of a diet high in fat and cholesterol in rabbits. During the study, a rather strange anomaly became apparent. One subgroup of rabbits had 60% less atherosclerosis than the group as a whole, even though they ate the same diet. Kind of strange, really intriguing. So what happened? It was eventually discovered that the lab assistant who fed and cared for that particular group of rabbits, she took them out of the cages, petted them, and talked to them before feeding them. The study was then repeated twice with exactly the same results and reported in Science, which, as you know, is one of the leading research journals out there. So we know that a high-fat diet, a high cholesterol diet, is going to have an impact upon our physiology. But isn't it intriguing? I think this is fascinating that loving kindness and attention actually stopped that damage from occurring. I find it completely and utterly fascinating. I'm sure you do as well. So what else can we do? Altruism, happiness, and health in seniors. How does all of this affect us as we get older? Selflessness and altruism lead to happiness and health, as I'm sure we could all guess. Retirees older than 65 were studied. They volunteered to help others, and they rated significantly higher on life satisfaction, will to live, and they had far fewer symptoms of depression, anxiety, and somatization. Now, if you're not familiar with the term somatization, it used to be called psychosomatic illness, which has become a really derogatory term. It's sort of back in the 70s and 80s, particularly for women, because there was so much medical misogyny, as we all know, and there still is, but even more back in there, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Particularly women were just told, go away, dear, it's all in your mind, it's psychosomatic. And they'd be sent away with a prescription for Valium, Librium, and all of these other horrifically addictive substances. There, dear, it's all in your mind, silly woman, off you go. So, we know, though, that somatization does exist, and that if we perseverate over certain types of symptoms or situations, they can become worse. An example of that, actually, is constipation, for want of that's the first one that comes to mind. But there's been research in this that if we have constipation and we really start to think about it and worry about it, it gets worse. Genuine research on this, I promise you. And actually, another one that we know that is very, very linked to the mind body. In fact, the mind gut link. The brain-gut link, as we know, is IBS, and we know how well hypnosis can actually facilitate complete cures in IBS. So it's such an interesting thing. So that's what somatization is in general. Now, numerous studies show that adult altruistic behavior is associated with enhanced well-being, improved morale, self-esteem, and positive emotions, as we probably would imagine. But what more? So what about depressive symptoms? They are greatly reduced among people of all ages who help others, and they have higher levels of happiness, plus evidence of enhanced overall wellness. So what happens if we do help people? As we know, witnessing random acts of kindness are extraordinarily health promoting, not just for the person receiving the act of kindness, as we might expect, but also for the person doing the act of kindness, and also for an onlooker. So if there was a transaction of loving kindness or somebody helping somebody else, and it's just random and it's not intentional, it's not sort of somebody just saying, oh, look at me, aren't I being lovely and kind and helping this person? But if it's just a genuine interaction, if somebody, a third party, is watching that happen, they too get the benefits of what we're going to just explore now. It's called the helper's high. So what happens in the helper's high? Research by Lux shows that 2/3 of helpers reported a distinct physical sensation associated with helping. About half of them reported a high feeling. 43% felt stronger and more energetic. 28% felt warm. 22% felt calmer and less depressed. 21% felt greater self-worth. And 13% experienced fewer aches and pains. Now, obviously, I know that doesn't add up to 100, because obviously, imagine that as a sort of a great big interlocking Venn diagram, because many of them experienced several of those particular feelings and so on. But it's wonderful to think that, you know, we can do something, but it actually has a physical effect on us. Furthermore, the other benefits that accrue to us from helping include improved cortisol levels, so lowered cortisol if it's elevated, which for most of us living in the 21st century in lockdown, it is elevated. But also with any of us who are experiencing chronic illness, any of the diseases associated with poor aging and so on, all of us will, in those situations, will have elevated inflammatory cytokines, including TNF-alpha, IL-6, and of course hormones like adrenaline and cortisol and so on. So all of those can be modulated by acts of kindness, doing them, receiving them, or observing them. What about philanthropy? Where does this fit into the picture? Giving excites several different happiness chemicals, as you'll probably imagine, including dopamine and endorphins, of course, which leads to a sense of euphoria, and oxytocin, which leads to a sense of tranquility, serenity, and inner peace. Beautiful, lovely stuff. Brains, when they were viewed on MRI machines, showed that just the thought of giving elicited this cascade of happiness chemicals. So making charitable donations actually triggers our mesolimbic system. So what about older people working with younger folk? In a study from Bremen, Germany, elderly people who helped adolescents work on a life problem improved their own cognitive performance at the same time. The simple yet empowering act of advising a younger person helped to boost the brain power of the elder when measured on a word test. Now, this is something, have a look at this when you get a chance. The Institute for Research on Unlimited Love. Now, it sounds kind of woo, doesn't it? And you would be forgiven for thinking that, because it sounds ever so hippy-trippy. But, oh my goodness. Professor Stephen G. Post, he is the most extraordinary researcher, incredible guy, teaches at universities all over the place, and this is his institute that he set up, the Institute for Research on Unlimited Love. And they are funded by various incredible organizations, including things like the Templeton Foundation and so on, who are involved in researching loving kindness and the well-being and all the good things that accrue to us when we think about positive psychology and happiness research and so on. So that's a resource that I would like to point you in the direction of. It's beautiful. Honestly, if you read his work and his colleagues' work, you just walk away feeling so enriched. So I do strongly suggest you check his work and his colleagues' work out. So another beautiful study that was conducted found that older adults who shared a memorized story, like a fairy tale or what have you, with children improved their own memory. Once again, the very act of being in a mentorship role with a younger person helped the elder boost their mental abilities. What about the kindness of physical touch? Let's look for a moment at baby massage. The effects of doing kind and compassionate actions can be measured physiologically. Older adults massaging infants had measurably lower levels of stress hormones, including salivary cortisol and plasma norepinephrine and epinephrine, or if you're on this side of the pond, noradrenaline and adrenaline. Same thing, just different words for the same thing. Now, what about, we spoke earlier about witnessing kindness and compassion, but there's more to the story. Even just watching kindness and compassion in action makes you physically more resilient, as does thinking about love. Students who were asked to watch a film about Mother Teresa's work, they were asked to watch a film about Mother Teresa's work, or they were given the task of dwelling on love. So they were just asked to sit and think about love. Very interesting results. After the 2 tasks were undertaken, it was found that there was a significant increase in the protective antibody salivary immunoglobulin A. It's our first line of defense against invading pathogens, which of course is incredibly relevant for today's world, isn't it? So yeah, so either watching the film, which was obviously showing her work, which was full of obviously a lot of kindness and so on, and all the students who were also asked to think and just sort of meditate and think about loving kindness. Both of them had this advantage. So doesn't it just go to show that, by watching the thoughts that we experience, we can actually make these huge, important physical changes, protective changes to our bodies? Now, what about loving kindness meditation? Can it help us lose weight? Now, if you're anything like me and you've got extra lockdown poundage, haven't we all? If you haven't, my hat is well and truly off to you. I need to get myself out. We've had 50, 60 mile an hour winds here recently, so that's my excuse. So I've not been out walking as much as I should have been. But what about loving kindness meditation? Could that possibly be something that we can do to actually maybe modulate our weight a little bit? Let's have a little look at what happened with the research. There were 3 groups of soldiers and they were taught to meditate. Why were soldiers chosen for the studies? Because they were in a barracks and they were all eating the same meals. And so they were a very good cohesive group, and they're very easy to monitor and to research because, they're all leading the same sort of lifestyle. They're about the same sort of age. They're doing about the same sort of activity. So they're quite a nice cohort to actually study from the scientific, from the research perspective. The first group was a control group. They were just given diet tips in writing. They were given, a sheet of paper saying, this is what you should do in order to lose weight. The second group was a general mindfulness meditation group. And then the third group was a meditation group with extra self-compassion or loving kindness meditation, which is metta meditation. Now, if you're not familiar with metta meditation, what it is, very briefly, because there's a lot more to it than this, but I'll just talk you through it briefly so you know exactly what it is we're talking about. Metta meditation is where you sit and just think about good things accruing to yourself. So generally speaking, it goes along the lines of, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be safe and free from harm. And then you think, or words to that effect. It doesn't have to be exactly that. Different people have different things that they like to say. The next thing is you think about a loved one. May so-and-so, you say their name, be happy, may they be loved, may they be safe, may they be free from harm. So that's that. Then you think about somebody neutral, and you say the same wishes for them. And so a neutral person is somebody that you may see perhaps in a shop, or somebody that you don't know them, but you see them from time to time. And then the difficult bit is where you think of somebody that you actually don't like, or you have difficulty with, or they may be challenging for you. So perhaps for us in complementary medicine, so maybe some of the skeptics, send them some metta. May they be happy, may they be well, maybe they be safe and free from harm. Because when you think about it, actually, if they're happy and safe and well and free from harm, they're less likely to be out there trolling and doing horrible, awful things, because that's only done by really sad, unhappy people, isn't it? So there's a rationale to it. So if you do find it difficult to do that part, think about, well, actually, this is what could happen as a result. And then finally, you can branch all of these things out to your local town, your city, your country, the world, the universe, take it as far as you want to go. But that's the essence of how metta meditation works. It's a beautiful thing to do. So the 2 meditation groups of soldiers did the meditation as taught for 5 weeks. The control group did nothing. They only followed the diet tips if they wanted to. The participants lost weight in both meditation groups, while the control group gained weight during the initial 5 weeks. Not surprising. After 6 months of subsequent self-motivated and unguided meditative practice, only the mindfulness with self-compassion meditation group continued losing weight, while the mindfulness meditation group showed no significant weight difference. So they had a good initial result. So we know that meditation does help in weight loss, but it's that self-compassion component, loving kindness, that actually does help us to lose weight. I find that really interesting, and the research is there at the bottom if you want to go and check that out. The findings suggest that developing both mindfulness and self-compassion practices appears more promising for weight loss than meditation alone or simply dieting. So even brief training counts. Brief mindfulness meditation training alters psychological and neuroendocrine responses to social evaluative tests. So basically, there's a stress test called the TSST for short. What that stands for is the Trier Social Stress Test, and it's evil. I feel so sorry for the poor. It's always students that they get in to do this test, and it's just horrible. I wouldn't like to do it myself. But anyway, what happens is that they get some volunteers to do this test. Excuse me, I'm going to, even thinking about it is stressing me out. I've got to have a sip of water now. Oh, that's nice. Right, okay. So the TSST goes like this. They get the poor volunteer and they bring them into a room and they ask them to give a presentation. They can present on anything they want to, but there's a panel of people, of judges, if you like, and these people have been told, they've got pens and paper and they can write, but they've been told to keep a really neutral expression on their faces, not to react to the student. So the student's given 5 minutes just to write, or I should say the subject is given 5 minutes just to write out a little bit about the presentation. And then suddenly somebody comes and takes their pen and paper away and they're told to go and give the presentation. So obviously that in itself is really, really stressful. So they give the presentation, and if they stop, if they haven't reached the 5-minute goal, they're told to carry on. And then it gets worse, if you can imagine. What they're then asked to do is they're then told to stand in front of this panel and to count backwards in increments of 13 from 1022. Now, I don't know about you, but right now my brain is going, it's just like, I mean, I would not be able to do that. I would just go, and yeah, it really is stressful. But here's the thing. Before they go in for the assessment, what actually happens is they are fitted with a cannula, because they have a blood draw before and then they have a blood draw afterwards, because this test is very, very stressful, of course. And what it does is it actually shows categorically just how much stress people are actually experiencing. Obviously, after the test, there is a full debrief. The subjects are, they explain to them exactly what's happened. They explain to them why they've gone through this test and so on. Clearly, they will have signed an ethics disclaimer, and they will have been briefed to a certain extent. But of course, obviously, with this kind of research, they can't let the cat out of the bag totally, because otherwise, you wouldn't get that stress response. But anyway, so that's how the TSST actually works. So obviously, in that situation, cortisol rises, but less self-reported stress reactivity following brief mindfulness training. So what they found was that the people who were given brief mindfulness training prior to doing the TSST found that they could cope with that dramatic amount of stress much better, much more easily. In fact, it was found that there were no or very low changes to both systolic and diastolic blood pressure following the TSST. So that act of brief mindfulness training, which really only went on for a week, actually changed the increase in blood pressure that you would likely see in a subject who hadn't gone through the TSST. So it just goes to show, doesn't it, that even brief meditation training is mighty powerful. So let's come back to telomeres and so on for a moment. So aside from helping us cope better with stressors, can mindfulness meditation help us live longer? Does it actually have any measurable effects on our telomeres? There was a meta-analytic review of the effects of mindfulness meditation on telomerase activity. Telomerase is the enzyme that actually helps telomeres to form and to maintain their function. There were 4 pioneering randomized controlled trials, including a total of 190 participants, and it provided information on the effect of mindfulness meditation upon telomerase. The meta-analysis results indicated that mindfulness meditation leads to increased telomerase activity in peripheral blood mononuclear cells. Now, what are those? Generally speaking, when you're doing research in telomeres, telomeres are attached to the ends of our chromosomes all throughout our bodies. But as you know, our bodies don't just age in a completely cohesive pattern. You know, if you've had a lot of stress that affects your heart, then chances are that these cells in your heart you may well find that you have shortened telomere lengths there. Whereas, let's say if your skin happens to be particularly healthy skin, you may have longer telomeres in skin. So how do researchers create a sort of a level playing field? Well, what they do is they tend to look at peripheral blood mononuclear cells, white blood cells usually, and so that's what is done in science to actually sort of maintain some kind of cohesive and meaningful data and research. So it's interesting that, you know, this is, you know, these big studies actually have shown that telomerase is preserved and enhance, you know, this enzyme is enhanced, and the production of this enzyme is enhanced through mindfulness meditation. So so we can extrapolate from that it preserves the length of our telomeres, which makes us biologically younger. So yes, if you think about it, does mindfulness meditation rewind our body clock? Yes, it actually does. It's really intriguing. So what else can do that? Well, obviously lifestyle. I mean, clearly, you know, what we do know is that eating a plant-based whole food diet has been shown to improve telomere length. We know that appropriate exercise, and when I talk about exercise, I'm talking about 3 types of exercise. Resistance exercise, which is lifting weights, or using your body weight, so that you are putting resistance on your muscles. And of course, obviously, the upside of that is that it puts resistance on the bones, maintaining bone health, which of course is so important for overall physiological health, not just, you know, the health of our skeletons. We also find that mindfulness exercise, like Tai Chi, like yoga, like Pilates, all of those massively contribute to health and well-being on every level, including increased telomere length. And also, of course, we find that sleep, hydration, and happiness, relationships, as we spoke about earlier, all of these things contribute massively to health and well-being on all levels, including increased telomere length. And of course, compassionate eating, by which I mean following a whole food plant-based diet, obviously for the health of the animals, obviously for the health of the planet, and of course for the health of ourselves. Because, you know, when we eat plants, no debate, what we know, of course, is that those phytochemicals contribute to reduced inflammation, which reduces, of course, our cortisol levels, which means that we are less likely to be able to develop the diseases we wrongly associate with aging, but also halt and even reverse those diseases. I've seen it happen time and time again with all of my patients, and I'm sure you have as well. So the most compassionate and cruelty-free foods that we can eat are the ones that most powerfully promote wellness. So let's talk about some of the next steps that we can do from here onwards. I love to walk around thinking that it's possible to be the reason that somebody smiles today. Just get out there and be a little beam of sunshine, be a ray of shining light out there. Shine your light into the world, because I know you do that as practitioners. You're all brilliant, you're all amazing, and I am so grateful. We're so grateful for the work you do out there. Thank you. What else is there? Take time to be mindful. Treat yourself and all other sentient beings with kindness and compassion. Reflect this in your daily actions towards yourself and others, and be mindful about your food choices, your lifestyle choices, and more. It helps us all live more happily, healthily, and gives us the vibrant gift of youthful longevity. And remember, of course, kindness is contagious. I've got a little list here. A lot of these are not necessarily going to be relevant right at the moment if you're in a lockdown country. I know, we're joined today by hundreds of people from all over the world. So welcome to, wherever you're from. Some of you may be able to get out and do some of these acts of kindness. But for some of us, we may need to wait a little longer. So if you find that, there are things here, that you can do whilst still in lockdown, then by all means do them. And if not, find other creative things that you can do. Reaching out. I know that nextdoor.com has a kindness program. And in fact, actually, it's being studied by one of the universities at the moment. But it's all about reaching out to somebody who may be lonely, phoning them, getting onto a Zoom call with them, and so on. All of these things can be done. So, bear in mind what you can do now, and also, of course, what you can do for the future. What about reframing your stressors? Think about stress in a positive way, reframing them. We all have stressors, but think back to what I told you about those mums looking after chronically ill children. It was the perception of stress, the perception of being stressed, that led to the telomere lengthening, and so the premature aging in the mums that were looking after the chronically ill children. The mums who were looking after the chronically ill children who didn't feel stressed didn't have that same effect. So reframing our stressors, thinking about them in a positive way, will really modify the way that your body responds. So we've got gifts. We've got gifts for you. Over on my website, so obviously, I'm sure you're all familiar with the Complementary Medical Association website, so I don't need to talk to you about that, obviously. But on my website, it's just jayneygoddard.com. I've got lots of free gifts because I think these things are crucial for well-being. So they're just there. Please help yourselves. I've got a Yoga Nidra recording download, completely free. It's for deep restorative sleep. It's a 20-minute download, a meditation that, as you know, with Yoga Nidra, I'm sure you know that Yoga Nidra for 20 minutes is considered to be the equivalent of 2 hours of deep restorative sleep. So I know that to be true because it certainly saved me when I was caring for my father when he was very, very, very seriously ill and dying, and I was not getting hardly any sleep at all for about a good year, really. Had I not had that meditation in my therapeutic arsenal, I would have gone under. No ifs, buts, and maybes. And I know that so many of us have this experience, and poor sleep is an absolute killer. The relaxation response. I also have an instructional recording for the relaxation response. The relaxation response, I'm sure many of you know, was created by Dr. Herbert Benson. Dr. Herbert Benson is an amazing man. He's lovely, very, very kind. I love him to bits. He runs the Benson Henry Institute at Harvard Medical School, and I had the privilege of doing his mind-body medicine training, and I learnt the relaxation response directly from him, so you're getting it from the source. I thought it was easier and better for you to make a recording of how to do it rather than just simply writing it out for you. There are a lot of written resources online, but the problem is, if you're trying to do a meditation and you're doing it from a written thing, you've got to go, right, okay, what do I do now? Right, okay. All right, what do I do next? Okay, I'll do this bit next. Right, what do I do next? And you have to keep going back and looking, don't you? And that really, it's very disruptive, and it doesn't lead to a nice, relaxed meditation session. So I've created that recording. You only need to listen to it for a couple of times, then you'll totally know how it works. It's super, super, super easy. I've included a little ebook of my Rewind Your Body Clock 10-step quick start plan, because that's got all of the lifestyle bits and pieces in that really help to dramatically increase our levels of happiness, positivity, increase our telomere length and all of those good things. So help yourself to that as well. And we also created a really lovely recipe book, which is all lovely whole food plant-based recipes, mostly free of salt, added refined salt, oil or sugar. So if you want to experiment with plant-based eating, then by all means, knock yourself out, go and have a look at that as well. Again, totally free to download. And then finally, I am creating very soon a lovely, delicious metta meditation for you, a loving kindness meditation. Again, I realize that, you know, we've got these, it's written down all sorts of different places. It's no big secret, but the problem is that it's really difficult if you're trying to get into a gorgeous meditative state and then you've got to keep looking back at what you're supposed to be doing. So I will make a lovely recording for you, and I'll put that up on the site as well for free. Okay, so if you go to my website, the other thing you can do is you can, again, for free, totally free, you can actually track your own biological age. If you go to the top of my website, it says biological age tests. If you click on that, what actually happens is you can get to log in and you can do a set of exercise tests, things like the skin pinch test, the balance test, the reaction speed test, and so on. Really easy. You don't need any special equipment. You can do this all yourself at home. Super, super easy. You log the results and then you'll get an email from me a month later saying, hey, it's time to do your tests again. And what will happen is that you'll be able to then, over time, month by month, you'll be able to actually look at a graph of how you are responding to the lifestyle changes that you're making. Because I hope that you're going to be adding things like metta meditation to your daily activities, and exercise and healthy eating and all of those wonderful things that we know really do contribute to happy, healthy, biological age rewind. So what else have we got coming up? All sorts of exciting things. Down to a lot of prompting from so many of you in my groups. You've been wanting a resilience training, and finally we are obliging. It's great. We've put the course together. It's a resilience and positive psychology CPD training, where we are helping you to promote health through happiness. So the idea is that for practitioners who are already qualified, it's a CPD training, where what we do is we'll give you all of the training resources that you need in order to be able to add the things like resilience, positive psychology, relationship training, all of these things into your practice, okay? So it will give your practice that added dimension. So it is certified, it is CPD. And if you are interested in adding another therapeutic string to your bow, there's also the opportunity for you to license the training so that you can train others to develop this and deliver this beautiful and very, very important course. The reason we're doing it this way is because, first of all, we know that if you just do the training yourself, the CPD training, you will be even better and more equipped to deal with people who are really suffering at the moment with mental health issues. And we know that's so many people out there. But what we also want to do is to give you a training that you can actually then take out and actually train other people to do. Okay, so again, it will be CPD, and I'm not going to go into the whole thing right now, but what we will do is we will explain to you precisely how it works. You can contact me at jayney@the-cma.org.uk, and doubtless I'm sure you will have questions, so we can answer more questions in a minute, but let's just go through the group. The other thing that's coming up is my 21-day rewind challenge, which is actually basically a massive spring clean, and it's just 3 weeks where we will be working together in my Rewind Your Body Clock Facebook group and online, and we'll be looking at just Oh my goodness, sorting out mindset, meditation, nutrition, happiness, gratitude, breathwork, etc. And you can see all of those things there so that you end up happier, healthier, brainier, sexier, better looking, biologically younger, and so on within a 3-week period. It sounds like a tall order, doesn't it? But if you go back to the work that Professor Ellen Langer did when they did that BBC program, The Young Ones, where they put those people who were stars in the 70s into that 1970s environment, so they were immersed in an environment when they felt that they were at their happiest and healthiest, they all, within a week, rewound their biological clocks by 10 years. So this stuff may sound kind of like woo and a bit wow, a bit trite, but as you know, everything I bring you is evidence-based. So 3 weeks of doing this together is going to have a big impact. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So finally, nurture the roots of your being. It's your tender humanity in compassionate relationship to the world around you, and you will thrive. No two ways about it. I just want to say thank you so much for being with me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back to the group. Thank you so much, everybody. You've been absolutely amazing, and you've stuck with me. Right, okay, let's have a little. Oh gosh, we've got a lot of lovely questions. Thank you so much. Right, okay, so if you've got any questions, please leave them in the group, in the chat, I should say. So yes, so for those of you late coming in, I know that there were a few who were, and that's just fine. Yes, this is being recorded, and yes, you will be able to get a copy of it. And I know that a lot of you would probably like the presentation as well. I'm more than happy to do that because it's got all of the references to the research studies. So if you would like that information, simply drop me a line or drop Roberta a line and we can do that. Okay, so right, let's have a little look. How do we get on the distribution list? You're already on it, my love. So because you've actually registered to join this, I think it's Valerie, isn't it? Yeah, because you're already on in this group, you had to register, so you're already on the list. So you're fine. You'll get the link. So don't you worry about it. The other thing I should say is that if you don't already get the CMA newsletter, please sign up for it. Every week we send out the most amazing newsletter, usually featuring all the latest research in complementary medicine from some of the biggest scientific research journals. You know how they say there's no research out there? Well, there is. And so we bring that to you. So that's really, really important, plus all the latest breaking news for the CMA. So if you don't already get the CMA newsletter, please make sure you go to the CMA website and that you sign up for the newsletter. There's a little purple box at the top that says, subscribe to the CMA newsletter. Click that box and fill out the form. And that's it. We don't spam. We don't provide your details to anybody else. It's all, we're totally GDPR compliant and all the rest of it. So you don't need to worry about, your safety of your details. It's just for the newsletter. Right, okay. Thanks, Roberta, that you've answered that question. Thank you so much. Hello, Susan. Susan Collins, lovely Susan. Hello. You said we'll have a copy of the recording, but will we? Yes, we will receive. You will receive a copy of the slides if you would like to. Just let us know. That's fabulous. Thank you. Tony, hello there. Yes, okay, that's fine. We'll make sure you get the slide presentation. And Jill, Rachel says she would like them as well. That's great. Okay, that's great. Lovely. Yes, Jill would like them. Oh, Leslie, looking forward to the replay as your PC logged you out. Oh, isn't that a drag when that happens? It can happen. Oh, I'm so sorry. Don't worry, you've got everything. It's all recorded. You'll be fine. Rachel says, and that's why I focus on mums, especially those that are parent carers like me. Absolutely right. Yeah, it's so important to look after the mums, all of us actually. Yes. Fiona says, animals know far more than we do often. Yes, they do actually, don't they? Because we have barriers, don't we? And, we filter, whereas animals don't. They are just in the moment and in the now. So, yes, I think they do perceive a lot more than we do, certainly. Julie says, I'm so sorry, I'm going to have to leave. That's fine. This is my first session I've joined since becoming a member of the CMA this week and have been very impressed by the presentation and the information contained. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. What lovely words. I look forward to joining more in the future. Namaste from sunny Suffolk. Lucky you, we've got gales here. Amal, hello, Amal. How lovely that elderly people can benefit from being a mentor. I know, isn't that beautiful? It's a really thing. We think about, how society used to be, where the elders, and in many societies they still are, where the elders are respected. The elders are such an important part of society, aren't they? And their wisdom is treasured. I just wish that we would have a return to that in our society. Yes. Oh, and Michelle says yes, that's what used to happen more frequently when people lived in more of a community. Absolutely. Sylvia says, hello, Sylvia says, this shows how important grandparents are and how they too benefit from the relationship grandchildren. Absolutely, yes. And in the extended family. And Michelle says, absolutely. And many are being denied that presently. Yes, they are. Oh, it's such lovely comments. Thank you. I love the fact that you're, interacting together as well when the presentation's happening. This is so great. Thank you. Sandrine, hello, Sandrine, says, thank you so much for your time and expertise, Jenny. I have to go now and look forward to watching the rest of the presentation later. That's lovely. Susie says, smiling at a stranger really works. Yes, it does, doesn't it? I smile at them all the time. Of course, when we're out, we've got masks on, so I do the eyes, the smiles. I think that was, it's where you, as long as you smile with your eyes, if you're smiling, it's a genuine smile. Your eyes smile as well, and you get the wrinkles. Those are, your lovely smile lines there. And people can see that over the mask, so it's worth doing. Yeah. So Sharon says that's the problem with face masks. Some people aren't seeing any face-to-face smiles at all. It's true, but smile with your eyes, it still works. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Michelle says, I agree, Susie. I've noticed that smiling at others has helped during lockdown, and it's often reciprocated. Yes, it is. But the eyes can be read too. Very true. Sylvie says, I found that picking up litter in nature in this lockdown is very therapeutic for me. I do something positive for our beautiful planet. Absolutely. That's fantastic. In fact, there was something on television, I think it was last night. I very, very, very rarely watch TV, but I caught something. It might have been the news yesterday, I can't remember, but they were talking about people actually going out litter picking in lockdown, and the people who were doing it was just saying, it's made all the difference to their health and well-being, mentally and emotionally. Yes, they're out, they're getting exercise, they're getting fresh air, but it's that thing about contributing to our society, because our society is being so decimated by lockdowns. So yes, that's a very true thing. Thank you for pointing that out, Sylvia. Mel says, thanks, Jenny. Value the research links and really good to share with peers. Great. Rachel says, need that for my chronically ill teen right now. Of course, absolutely. Paulina says, I do yoga nidra every night and my sleep improved dramatically. I've been doing it for months and it really works great. Absolutely. It's really funny with the yoga nidra recording I made. What happened was that a lot of people say to me, yeah, it's great, Jayney, but I've no idea how it ends, which I think is great. Job well done. It clearly works. People are going to sleep and they've no idea what happens at the end. It's all good though, I promise you. Right, okay. Oh, that's really nice. Mel says, my enthusiasm and passion is so positive on a personal and professional level. That's really, I am really passionate about this topic, as you can tell. I just think it's so important for us, we all need to know this stuff. Michelle says, the presentation has been very interesting. Thank you for the gifts. Amal has to go. Bye-bye, Amal. Thank you so much for being with us. Amanda says, this session has been a gift. Thank you. Like, you're a gift. Thank you. Robert says, thank you for brightening my day. Oh, I really hoped it would. Thank you. Yeah, we all need it, don't we, right now? Lillian had to go, but thank you so much for being with us, Lillian. Nina says, thank you so much. I look forward to the replay. She has to go. Lorraine says, excellent session. That's fabulous. Michelle says, thank you so much for all this wonderful and helpful information. Rachel says, all this information is brilliant. I'm sold. Oh, bless you. Thank you so much. Michael says, thank you for all these lovely gifts. That's lovely. Seema says, thank you, Jayney, for a very informative and helpful webinar and all your offers on the website. Wendy says, thank you, as ever, very interesting and relevant. Great, good, I'm glad you agree. Right, that's nice, Maria, thank you. As always, content is really interesting and engaging. Sitvinda says, hello, Sitvinda, we were talking earlier on Facebook. Many thanks, amazing, amazing. Oh, thank you, my darling, that's so kind of you. Amanda says, are there any particular courses you have to have done before doing my course? No, as long as you're a practitioner, that's it. So as long as you're qualified in health and well-being or looking after people in some way, that could be teaching, it could be social work, it could be nursing, it could be complementary medicine. As long as you are working with people in some way, the tools that we give you, we're not turning you into psychotherapists. That takes a little longer than the 27th of March. The way that the actual day is arranged is that we just do the one day. If you then want to have the license to go out and then actually train the trainers, so that, you know, if you're already teaching and you've got students already and you want to teach them to take this work out on further, then you need to do extra hours with me. Okay, so that's an add-on, but it's just 2 hours, you know, sort of like a week apart. And basically, I would go over with you what you're doing, what you're teaching, how you're teaching it, get you set up for train the trainer, and all of that. So that's how that works. I'll come on to all the nitty-gritty on all of that in a bit. But no, so Amanda, you should be fine. Robert says, many thanks, apologies, I have to leave, that's fine. Bianca says, amazing, thank you so much. Sharon says, fantastic talk, thank you for your time, thank you. Natalie says, thank you. Sam says, great stuff. Karen says, it sounds amazing. Mel says, thank you. Says, thank you. Everybody sounds like everybody's got to go. It's fine, it's great, that's fine. Pip says, Jane, you're a lifesaver. Thank you. That's a really nice thing to say. Well, this information it's not all me. I collate information. That's what I do, and I think it's really important info. Doncha says, thank you. Sukuk says, thank you, amazing information. Sheila says, thank you so much. It's amazing. I'll contact you soon regarding course. Oh, yes, please, Sheila. It would be lovely to have you. Great. Tofa says, thank you. Wonderful presentation. Grania says, thank you for an interesting presentation. Sally says, thank you. Oh, this is so lovely, everybody. Thank you. I'm just looking through to see lots of thank yous, just to see if there are any questions. Leslie says the session's gone really quickly. That's good. Seema has to go. That's fine. Lovely. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, Alison. Yes, you'll get the recording. Absolutely. Great. Nikki says, oh, it's fantastic. Thank you. Roberta. Thank you, Roberta. Roberta says you can email me at roberta@the CMA. Yes, we can send you the presentation test and everything. Matthew says, thank you, very interesting, informative. Right, oh, this is lovely. Tony says it's the first one he's attended. Lovely, that's fabulous. One of the things that we want to do, actually, Roberta, would you mind showing? I will, again, it's a lot of people saying, I'm just checking for any questions. Roberta, would you be able to show people the actual handbook? And we've got, so with the actual training course, I'm going to just spotlight you, Roberta, if you bear with me. One sec, spotlight you for everybody. Continue. Okay, there's Roberta. So Roberta, yes, that's one of the handbooks. So with the course, it's not just a case of being with me for one day. We've got pre-reading, we've got post-reading, we've got these beautiful ebooks, we've got downloads for you, and I mean, honestly, it's, as you can see, in fact, Megan, I created the ebook. Megan put it all together and it's beautiful, beautiful artwork. So we've got workbooks for you. We've got a gratitude journal for you. We've got all these things that you would share and you would show your clients and you would be able to share with your clients and so on. So, you know, this is, it's incredibly valuable, all of this stuff. You know, I think it's really, oh, thank you, Roberta. Yeah, so that's our 3 good things, gratitude journal. Thank you so much, Roberta. Beautiful. We think that it's really important to put things together. There you go, my glamorous assistant.
Forward.
Yes, exactly. That's right. Bless you. Thank you, Roberta. That's really appreciated. Oh, thank you, my love. Yeah. Okay. So Just going to finish off the various comments. I'm happy to answer any questions about the course and so on. Tony says, thank you, Jayney. It's a fantastic session. Also for the free gifts. You're such a generous person. Thank you. Well, we have to be generous. We have to share. It's important. Right. Okay. Yes, you will receive a copy. Yes, you will receive the slides. Hello, Glynis. Yes. Charlotte. Hello, my love, Charlotte. Oh, you're so lovely. You're with us every single session in, session out, day in, day out. What a great session. The total agreement of the benefits of being a humanitarian, philanthropic, and altruistic is 101%. Since 2003, I've worked tirelessly on zero salary on 2 projects in West Africa. Education in young farmers, I always go to bed with a smile on my face, happier and healthier. Yes, Charlotte, please send the links. Love to point people in the direction of those projects. They sound amazing. Of course, thank you. And thank you for doing that. It makes a big difference in the world. Oh, thank you so much. Lovely comments from everybody. Thank you. Gosh, I'm going to zip through because I'm not even halfway through the comments, but I want to make sure I don't miss any questions. But thank you so much for your beautiful comments, everybody. It truly is appreciated. Right, okay. Oh, lovely. Oh, that's great. Tracy's saying she's going to do the loving kindness meditation before I see my clients today. Great, good. I love it. Susan says, 3 years ago, before I moved to my current rural situation, I used to go and buy half a dozen small bouquets and just hand them out to anybody who looked like they could use a nice surprise. I was often met with a little doubt why I would do it. I said I couldn't give them to my mum, so would they please enjoy them for the week? This produced huge Cheshire cat grins, did me and them good. Also taught my grandchildren to do this, and they always said how good they felt afterwards. I can't do this so easily anonymously now because everyone knows everyone, but I still do it when I'm in a strange town. Wow. Oh my God, I've got goosebumps. Oh, I'm going to cry. Oh, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Oh, Karen lives on the beach. She's a wild swimmer and picks up litter every day on the way back. Thank you. And her chronic pain has reduced greatly. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Lovely Anne. Hello, my darling. Thank you, Jayney. You share so much information and wisdom. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, bless you. Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's have a little look. More questions. Any more questions? Yes. Okay. What I will do is I'll send everything through to you. I'll send you the details for the course as well, everybody. Yeah. Susan says she looks forward to the training that allows you to train others as a counselor, life coach, and mindfulness facilitator. It'll be a fabulous extra string. I think it's so important for practitioners. I think we need to be able to do this. It's absolutely crucial. Yeah, the course is just one day. Absolutely, Fiona, you and I have spoken about this. Just so you know, everybody, I've been speaking with Fiona because Fiona was one of the people who, she's a fellow of the CMA and actually also Bianca as well. You know, they're both fellows of the CMA. And, we do speak about also, when you're a fellow of the CMA, we talk to you a lot about various things that we're planning and directions that we're going in, because you are senior practitioners and so we like to just run things by you and so on. So I've been speaking to Fiona quite a bit behind the scenes, and yeah, so basically it's one day because I don't want to exhaust you, because I want to keep this in the spirit of what's being delivered. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be full of laughs. It's going to be full of loving kindness and beautiful, loving energy. Plenty of time for you to interact. It will be, of course, on Zoom, but there will be interaction. It'll be just a beautiful, enriching day. So it's not about, oh God, we've got to do all this work and death by PowerPoint and all that sort of thing. It's gonna be really, really lovely, because you know what, if it's not uplifting and it's not enjoyable, then what the heck are we doing it for? We've got to do things that make our own lives better as well as improving everybody else's lives. Oh, Jill Suarez wants to do the course as well. Thank you, Jill. Yes, please. Amy says thank you. Oh, lovely. So such time well spent this afternoon. That's great. Oh, fantastic. Professor Tiller's energetic anatomy course. Yes, well worth checking out. Susie, could you send us the links for that? I'd love to check that out a bit more and share it with the group. Oh, Karen says, I'm writing for well-being practitioner, but I also encourage general well-being measures. Yes, definitely. Okay, fantastic. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Oh, Pip says she spent 31 years pointing out exits. I guess you were cabin crew. Right, okay, yes. I'm going to come on to price and all the rest of it in just a second, Fiona. Thank you for reminding me and asking me. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, Mel had to dash. Right, okay, that's great. Lovely, lovely. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Charlotte, for those details. Roberta, would you be able to, I'm sure you've probably already noted them down, but if you wouldn't mind writing down Charlotte's links to those charitable organizations. Right, okay. Oh, Glynis wants to do the course as well. Yay, okay. So here we go, everybody. Right, so the actual course, I'm just going to go to my my very important course outline. Okay, right, okay, so I'm going to just check my notes because I don't want to get this wrong. So it is £97 for this is for CMA members. Obviously, because we're the CMA, we do make sure that we have preferential rates for CMA members. So the course leading to CMA CPD is £97 for the day, okay? And don't forget, it's not just that day, but it's also all of the additional bits and pieces that we're giving you. So the ebooks, the gratitude journal, the presentations, all of these will be available to you to use so that you can use them directly, so that you can sit with your clients and show them, look, this is what you should be doing. Here's a gratitude journal. Use this gratitude journal, fill it out. So we're giving you loads and loads and loads of stuff that will actually really enhance your practice. Okay, so you can actually, you'd be able to advertise that this is something that you also do in your practice. So it gives you that extra therapeutic string to your bow. And then for non-CMA members, it is 197, so it's £100 more. Because as I say, we have to make really good benefits for CMA members, because obviously we're always trying to add new membership benefits for you. Okay, so for non-members, it's £197. So if you're not yet a CMA member, why not join the CMA and get the discounted rate? Honestly, I know that sounds cheeky, but you have to be cheeky in life sometimes. As Roberta always says, have I got this right, Roberta? Shy bairns, what is it? Shy bairns getting out?
Shy bairns getting out.
I love that. Or as my great granny always used to say, faint heart, ne'er one fair lady. So make of that what you will. But anyway, then the Train the Trainer license track. Now, this is the one that's quite a bit more involved. So you do the same training on the day and you get all the bits and pieces, but you also get 2 hours with me, not at the same time. You would do an hour with me afterwards, a week afterwards, and then another week after that, after you've done various homeworks and readings and bits and pieces. I need to know exactly how you would be taking this work out, exactly who you would be training, and how you are proposing to deliver the training. You can take this work into corporate environments. You can take this work into NHS environments. You can take this work into schools. We've also got other types of the course, which we will be launching slightly later, where it's very specific to working with teenagers. So this one is geared at working, generally speaking, with adults, but there will be relevance for children and teenagers if that's who you are looking after. But if you want to specifically work with teens, and my goodness, we know that their mental health is really compromised, more so now than ever, then we will actually be creating a very specific set of training just for working with teens as well. Okay, so you can keep your eyes peeled for that. But the Train the Trainer track for CMA members is £297, just because of all the extra work that we have to put in from our end. It gives you a license. So what you're doing is you're buying a license to actually go out and use this information to teach the people that you teach. So if you are running a training course at the moment, you will then be able to add this on as a course. So we're giving you a course, which is £297. So quite honestly, we're not greedy, and we think that that is amazing value for money. For non-members, it's 347. So it's, sorry, 397, I beg your pardon. Let me just change that there. So again, it's £200 more, but again, because we have to make sure that we are adding in substantial membership benefits for CMA members. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that hasn't scared you off. We hope it's really good value for money. But yes, okay, how do you feel about that? Right, oh yes, Vinda, yes, you do need to change your membership to the CMA, my goodness. Of course, we want you and we love you. And we've known you for years and years, 25 years, I think it was, we said earlier, wasn't it? Right, okay, so yes, please do join. That's wonderful. And Bianca, yes, you would be ideal. You know, you're a practitioner, you're a hypnotherapist, a counselor already. My goodness, why not add this on as an extra thing to offer? I think it's it's a no-brainer. Rachel says, yes, please. Pip says, what a revelation. Have to go to another Zoom. You're allowed to go to another Zoom. Okay, yes. And Rachel says the teens course. Yes. Okay, fine. Yeah, we'll add that as well. We would want you to do this course first, and then we will do the specialization in teens afterwards. It will be an add-on, but it's a very specific set of training that we need to do for that, as I'm sure you totally appreciate. Great. Okay, yes, you could easily integrate this into your private practice. Absolutely, Susan. So any other questions, my loves? You know, I know that I've been on with you now for some considerable time, so I don't want to abuse the privilege, but I just, as you can tell, I love this topic. It's magical, and I just really want you to take it out. I want to give you the tools to be able to take this out into the world. I mean, think about it. If you could get into corporate environments, I mean, you could charge an absolute fortune first. so that's good from a business perspective. But think about the people that you would be affecting. Imagine taking this into GP surgeries. Imagine being able to influence GPs. I mean, this is the sort of thing they're crying out for. You know, I was listening to Raj Chatterjee, you know, Dr. Raj, Rangan Chatterjee. He was talking yesterday on his blog about compassion is his watchword. He is passionate about compassion, and he's passionate about compassion in medicine. So, you know, doctors are crying out for this. My God, everything they've been through in lockdown. You know, so the world is your oyster. This is something so special for you. Honestly, I truly think that it's. I know I'm biased, but I think it's a good one. So there we go. Right, okay, my loves. Right, I really think I probably need to love you and leave you. But as always, you know, we're just available. You know, should you have any questions, of course. Susan's she has asked a very important question. I've often struggled to get my work into GP surgeries because I'm private practice. Is this recognised by the NHS? No. It's not, this training is not, but it doesn't need to be recognised by the NHS. You are going along, let's say, to a doctor's surgery. You would speak to either the head receptionist, and I would suggest, I mean, it may be difficult, obviously, right now in lockdown, but you could actually potentially talk to them about doing a Zoom session for them about, you know, resilience. I mean, my God, they need resilience training. They need loving kindness training. I mean, it's just crazy. Maybe talk to, if you know any nurses at the local hospital, talk to your nursing friends. They will gather together a group of nurses who will all want this information. You know, you might do it by donation, you might provide it free, but what it will do is it will highlight your other work, you see. So what it does is it gives you a foot in the door to some really crucially important environments. So, you know, you're not sort of doing therapy with people. You're bringing skill sets to people that will enable them to function better and more efficiently and be more resilient and be healthier. and happier into the bargain. Okay, so, right, okay. Karen says, but CMA membership is recognised by the medical profession. Yes, it is, and by the government. If you remember, back in November, after we had badgered the UK governments, all 4 of the governments across the UK and in other countries, to get complementary medical practitioners recognised as providing really important services for people with pain syndromes, injuries that lead to pain syndromes and so on, mental health issues, emotional health issues, and syndromes which would mean that the patient would deteriorate if they were not continuing with their complementary medical treatments. Those were allowed to continue. You were allowed to continue to work. And we had a letter from Theresa May's office and various other politicians saying, yes, the CMA has understood the legislation, the CMA has interpreted the legislation correctly and has advised their members correctly. So that is from the UK government. And we work very closely with the General Medical Council. We also work very closely with the British Medical Association. And I'm a fellow of the Royal Society of Medicine. So again, we have a foot in the door there as well. So my secret agenda, confession time, has always been to kind of go under the radar with the medical profession and to speak the same language as them, which is why everything I talk about is evidence-based, because I really want the conventional medics to understand that we're not the enemy, that we are people that can work professionally alongside them. My agenda for the last 28 years since setting up the CMA has always been to position complementary medicine alongside conventional medicine, because we have answers for chronic disease. They don't have answers for chronic disease. They have answers for acute situations. I mean, my goodness, you break your leg, you're not going to come to a homeopath. You might do afterwards, after your bones have been safely set and you know everything's good. Yes, you might then see your homeopath and get some Symphytum. But, you know, first port of call is always going to be to the conventional medics. You're a type 1 diabetic. Well, you're certainly not going to go and see an acupuncturist. No, you're going to go to the conventional medics and you're going to go and get insulin. You know, so there's a right place for both. But that's my agenda, is to position complementary medicine so professionally, and that's, you know, and that's what we're doing. And that's why with the CMA we have these exceptionally high standards for membership, which is why we're so bloody proud to have you. Okay, my darlings, right, okay, let's have a little look. Right, okay. Any more questions? If you need to go, please go. If you're happy to hang on, then you're fine. Roberta, I know that you met, and it's Roberta's day off, so I know that, you know, you may want to go and get going. You okay? Yeah. You're okay to hang in. Great. Okay. Susan says, throughout lockdown, I've not been able to work in person. I'm in Wales. My local training standards said no. Susan, it's debatable. The UK government, the UK legislation that actually covers all of the UK, all the governments, does say that you can work, but you might need to go to somebody different in trading standards. We're almost out of lockdown anyway, but I just want to let you know that we did interpret the information correctly. So it may be that you would have needed to go to somebody not in trading standards. You would have actually needed to go to your local health authority. And if you go back to the CMA YouTube channel and you look at the interview we did with Joe Baker, who's the CMA's political advisor. Joe is the former mayor of Redditch, and so he was able to explain exactly how to contact your local health authority and what to say to them. So if your lockdown continues, go and look at that video, because he tells you exactly what you need to say to be able to get back to work, okay? Right, Liz says, I'm not a practitioner, could I do this course? Liz, I need to know what your background is. So could you contact me and we'll have a little chat. We can always have a phone conversation and I'll find a little bit about your background and whether, you know, teachers, for example, should do this training because you're working with people. Anybody who's working with people should do this training. But Liz, yeah, ring me. I'll get, email me and I will, with your phone number, and I'll give you a call, okay? Susan says, no massage, Reiki, but only my work's been online. Better than none, but I'm really looking forward to the 12th of April. Oh yeah, hallelujah, aren't we all? Right, Sheila says it's her passion as well. Yes. Okay, thank you, lovely. Tess says your agenda is quite right, very much in agreement. I must switch to the CMA. Yes, please. Yes, of course. You'd be welcome with open arms. Do you know what? We are getting, a few weeks ago, we had 30 new members join in 1 week. Roberta, how many was it this week? Was it 14, 15?
I think, yeah, that's about right. I've had another couple since I did the list. So, yeah, 15, 16, waiting for a confirmation on insurance. So it varies from week to week. But yeah, I think about 15 or 16 this week.
We're averaging, aren't we, about 15 on average, 15 new members. This isn't renewals, this is actual new members a week. And I think it's because we're out there and we're kind of like the voice of reason. And I think people are realizing, the standards are so high, and the fact that we do liaise with conventional medicine, but, very much fight our corner. So we're not kowtowing to them and saying, oh yes, aren't you fabulous? Aren't you wonderful? We're actually saying, yeah, look here, this is what we have to offer. And here's the evidence. And that's why, so yeah. Okay, I know. Susan says she's got a real buzz. She's grinning from ear to ear. Yes, so am I. I love it. So exciting. Does anybody else have any questions? If you need to go, please feel free to go. If there's anything that anybody would like to ask, you can, feel free to unmute yourself if you would like to do so. I'm happy to hang on and answer questions, but if you want to head off, then that's absolutely fine. Anything else? Or are you bombarded? I don't need to bombard you, but I shall, yeah. Okay, Fiona says she's feeling pretty damn bouncy. She's like Tigger. Okay. All right, my darlings. Well, listen, I'll love you and leave you. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll make sure that you get a link to this. And also, obviously, of course, all of the research studies are all in the presentation. So I'll make sure you get a link to where the presentation is. I'll put it up on the CMA site so that you can look at it there, or you may, it might be, I think that's probably the best place to actually look at it. I'll put it up as a PDF so that it's just easy to scroll through. It just makes it slightly easier for you. And yes, let me know if there's anything else you need to know, and I'll send you details through about the course. And I shall look forward to seeing you soon. Lots and lots of love. Mwah. Bye. 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 Bye.